This episode is sponsored by Echo. Hear clearly, care confidently.
Learn more at echohealth.com. That's EKO health.com. And use code JSP for $50 off any stethoscope until December 31st.
Just Some Podcast Media.
The thoughts and opinions on Just Some Podcast are of the hosts and guests and do not represent the views of organizations that employ them or they volunteer for. They are also not responsible for spontaneous black holes or nuclear wars that may occur. You have been warned.
Welcome, everybody, to another fun-filled and exciting episode of Just Some Podcast. This is Tom.
Hey, this is Ben. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm just watching our forlorn producer, Sam, try desperately to crackle on his microphone while we're talking. So, other than that, though, I'm doing great. How are you doing, Ben?
I'm not doing too bad. I am excited that we're going to, I guess, allow... And I don't know why, I don't know what bet we lost somewhere, but we're going to allow producer Sam to come out from behind the production booth in front of one of the microphones. And so this may be the last episode of Just Some Podcast. Hell, we don't know.
Old Saltwater Taffy is his nickname in the office. So, Sam, if you want to go to the mic there and introduce yourself to the fine people.
That's it. Saltwater Taffy's my intro. Awesome.
Well, it is now. Old Sam, the Saltwater Taffy Man. That's what we like to call him down by the water tank.
1 minute and 20 seconds in and it's off the rails.
Yeah. So, Sam, you have a background in ER, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Have you done ICU or anything else?
Yeah, I worked at Med-Surg and then ICU for a few years, and then I did house supervisor for about a year and a half before landing in the ER where I've been since.
So you were the guy who decided if people got to leave and go home early on low census.
Yeah, super popular guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I also decided the assignments.
Considered an arch villain.
Yes.
So you were kind of the Hans Gruber of...
You could say that. Yeah, I did get $1 extra an hour to be everybody's enemy, so worth it.
Worth it. Yeah, I bet it was. And then you also have some experience overseas, correct?
Oh, yeah. That was almost a whole lifetime ago, though. But yeah, I was a combat medic in the Army. And I deployed to Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2003 and did a tour there.
Who's going to win Army versus Navy this year?
Better be Army. Historically speaking.
Well, historically speaking, I also think there's a small-time wager between him and longtime listener Matt about who exactly is going to come out on top this year. So,
possibly.
I'm going Army. I love all the service academies, but I am partial for family reasons to Army. So, go Army, beat Navy.
Well, that was a fun banter.
Oh, we're not. Are we done bantering? I thought we were still going to go.
We've only. That's just the tip.
Yeah, we've only scratched the surface of the banter portion of Just Some Podcast.
We're just getting warmed up.
Oh Lord, this is going to be. I don't even know.
All right. Well, we can move forward. We're going to have plenty to talk about when we get to the movie. So
just let it happen.
We're talking about a movie. What?
Just let it happen, Ben.
What are we doing tonight?
Yeah.
Well, that's why they call him the finest producer in all of podcasting, people. So
yeah, with great notes and advice. So what are we doing tonight?
Yes, he's really the glue, the backbone that forms the structure of the muscle. You guys nobody's jumping in. You guys all suck. So
I was waiting to see where you were going with it. I was like,
I really just try to earn every dollar that you pay me is the thing. I want to be worth the salary.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, and we appreciate that. It's not many people that would work for $1 an episode, but I mean,
Wait a
producer
minute.
Sam, he does. So,
Do I get back pay?
You do not.
well, Tom, what movie are we going to cover tonight?
So, one of my all-time favorite movies.
Elf?
No.
Oh,
Well, hold on. That's a trick question. That is also one of my favorite movies, okay? But no, that's not what we're covering tonight. We are covering the Christmas classic, Die Hard.
well, I think that's where we need to start the discussion, and then we can jump into the other stuff that we need to do as far as social media and stuff. But is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Absolutely.
100%.
Why?
Have you ever seen Die Hard, Ben?
It occurs on Christmas Eve to
Oh,
start.
was I
Yeah.
supposed to watch it before we talked about it?
Well, it's not a requirement, Ben, but it's usually encouraged.
I didn't know if you had any other reasons. I mean, I agree with you. I think it is a Christmas movie. It doesn't, there is some aspects of it that are Christmassy, but I mean, it's not one of the ones that you routinely think of for Christmas.
So that's also where you're incorrect, because that's exactly when I think of it is for Christmas. But I can honestly see the argument, since it was released in July of 1988, a couple months off of Christmas. However, I still believe that the intent makes a difference. It's clearly intended to be set around Christmas time to evoke emotions associated with Christmas. That's why he uses the ho-ho tape to strap the Beretta 9mm to his back before shooting more terrorists. Therefore, I am ruling, in my opinion, it's a Christmas movie.
I will say, and I'm sure you've seen it, but the Bruce Willis roast that was on Comedy Central, he actually addressed
I actually
this.
I have not seen it.
His quote was, and I quote, "Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's a goddamn Bruce Willis movie." And that's how he left it.
Okay, he didn't write it, so nope. No, I'm going.
I agree with you. I mean, even the end song is "Let It Snow," which is a Christmas song. So
yeah, exactly.
He was mostly unknown. He was only known for moonlighting before.
Yeah, I would say this is one of his first movies where he's bigger.
And with Hans, actually. Or
yes,
Alan Rickman.
Also with Alan Rickman. Yeah. Also, a interesting fact I looked up before the show: the original star, who they wanted to cast. Does anybody know?
Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra was supposed to be original. Yep.
Oh, I did not know.
Yep. Though I'm pretty sure that scene falling down the air conditioning shafts and going into the vent would have been way different if a 70-year-old Frank Sinatra was expected to be.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure a 30-year-old Bruce Willis didn't do that scene either.
Hey, whoa. Let's not disparage Bruce's good name just yet, okay?
Okay, but he's no Tom Cruise.
Plenty of time
He
for
doesn't do
that
his own stunts.
throughout the episode.
Yeah, he's no Jet Li or no Jackie Chan doing his own stunts.
But I would like the audience to weigh in on our social media stuff on whether or not they think Die Hard is a Christmas movie or not. They can find us on our social media to let us know if they think it's a Christmas movie. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, all at Just Some Podcast. Our website's www.justsomepodcast.com. Our email, jsp@justsomepodcast.com. And we're also on Patreon now, so you can find us on Patreon. Over there, we're doing all the unedited episodes moving forward, so it's like you're in the room with us right now if you're listening on Patreon. So, and if you are, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you're here, I apologize.
But Tom, if they wanted to help us out, what could they do?
Well, first they could probably just go watch Die Hard and say it's a Christmas movie, and there you go.
Okay. Anything else? I mean, Amazon, maybe. I don't know, that Amazon button. That thing we do. The button. The Amazon thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They could go to our website. They could scroll down to just about the bottom of the page. You'll see an Amazon affiliate link. Click on that before they go look at anything on the Amazon. Add it to their cart. Doesn't cost them a thing. They won't even know we were there, and we'd really appreciate it. And it would be Merry Christmas and a happy holiday and all that other stuff if you guys would support us. So we appreciate it.
Speaking of supporting us, Tom, before we get into the main meat of our episode, I do want to talk just a second about our sponsor, Echo Health. I have the Core digital attachment, which actually attaches directly to my stethoscope, and it makes my stethoscope that is an analog stethoscope a digital stethoscope. So I still get everything that you get with the 3M Littman core digital stethoscope. I get the noise cancellation, the 40-time amplification, the app along with it. But the other thing I found interesting, Tom, they had some customer survey results recently. 9 out of 10 providers, when using the core, felt that they could hear stethoscope sounds more clearly and feel more confident about the stethoscope sounds that they hear. And while it may be 9 out of 10 for them, I'd say for us, it's 2 out of 2. Like, it's 100%.
Correct.
Like, we feel like we really hear things a whole lot better. Would you agree?
I absolutely agree. And this is truly a game-changing piece of equipment. If you use a stethoscope regularly, absolutely the sounds, the clarity, everything are so much better that it does absolutely make a difference. And I hope you all get one as soon as possible.
Where can they find that at, Tom?
Well, they can find that at ecohealth.com. That's EKOhealth.com. And use code JSP for $50 off any stethoscope until December 31st.
All right. Well, let's get into this, Tom and Sam. Die Hard was released July 15th, 1988. It grossed $140 million worldwide and introduced us to, Nakatomi Plaza and, as Sam alluded to earlier, Bruce Willis as an action star. So, good movie.
Classic. It's one of those movies, I saw it as a kid, and instantaneously, like, I watched it, I was like, that was awesome. Like, that was like literally just like, you didn't have to say anything else. You could just be like, that was awesome. And you just hit rewind, because this was, VHS tapes. So you hit rewind, you waited 4.5 minutes, and then I watched it again. It was fantastic.
Really was. Sam, did you watch it when you were younger as well?
I did, yeah. I'm pretty sure that my dad still has it on VHS. Matter of fact, I think I still have it on VHS somewhere, for sure.
Be kind, rewind.
For sure.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of talk about this medically. We got some other just random observations through the movie because, well, we that's what we do. The first thing I observed, and I want to get your guys' input on this. Now, this was 88, which is
Pre-everything.
9/11, any of that. When he stands up as he's getting off the plane and the guy next to him notices his gun. And I'm like, yeah, get on the plane. Like, that's probably not going to fly. And he's like, oh, I'm a cop. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and the guy just nods. He's like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's the level of security we had apparently in 88, where guys were armed with shoulder holsters and Berettas. And you could just be like, it's cool. I'm a cop from New York, even though I'm somehow in LA on a domestic flight.
Not require any identification. Just vouch for
None at all. Actually, Ben, I was going to go even before that.
Oh, okay.
Even before that, Ben, credits are opening. John McClane is looking unrested from his domestic flight. The gentleman sitting next to him says, I've been doing this for 9 years. I will tell you the true secret to air travel is as soon as you get where you're going, you take off your socks, you walk around barefoot on the carpet, making balls with your feet.
making fists with your
Fists.
toes.
Fists with your feet.
Yes.
Fists
Yeah.
with your feet. So I do want to point out that multiple times in my life, based strictly on the medical advice of this movie, I have tried that, and it's a fail. That's not true whatsoever. You will completely have jet lag, no matter.
Not only does it not work, but it leads to him being barefoot for the entire action part of the movie because he was walking around like that.
It was obviously a thing of convenience where they was like, okay, we need to get him figure out a way to get him barefoot. Well, let's make up some bullshit story that you need to make fists with your feet.
Yeah, tactical error, not having footwear on in construction sites does tend to hinder John McClane in multiple parts of the movie. So I do believe you're right. That's one of those mechanisms they put in place to make the movie go forward.
I just hope that his tetanus shot was updated. I mean,
Yeah, it is now. That life-saving tetanus shot, as every trauma surgeon I've ever heard says in the middle of the trauma. I'm like, thanks, doc. I haven't heard that 50 times. Thank you. So that is actually where I started, was that piece of medical advice that I literally tried and never found it successful.
all right.
I had both of those things in my notes, immediately followed by the fact that he lights up and is smoking at the baggage claim inside the airport.
Yeah.
Yes, he's walking around LAX, Marlboro Red just hanging out of the corner of his mouth.
It was the 80s. We didn't give a shit. We're
He
like,
probably
yeah.
smoked on the airplane, to be honest.
Well, I don't know about you guys. I flew in 90 and there were little ashtrays in the arms of the seats.
Which is just amazing to think about now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I flew international on a 747 and there were ashtrays in the arms of the seats. So I remember that. And honestly, I used to be a smoker. I can tell you right now, I can't imagine how miserable that would have been to be on a 14-hour flight trapped in an ashtray like
Just
that.
full of smoke.
Just
So nobody was smoking on that flight in 90.
no, there was nobody on that flight, but the ashtrays and
Yeah.
all the remnants were there.
Okay.
So the first major injury that I seen was as he's killing the first bad guy, the first terrorist or whatever. They're kind of wrestling around. He gets slammed through the sheetrock, and then they fall down the flight of stairs.
Yeah, you're missing one, though. Takagi gets shot before that happens.
Yeah, the first injury is Takagi
Okay.
getting shot in the face. That's a pretty significant injury.
Okay, I'm looking at injuries that, are still life-sustaining.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, there's 23 dead people throughout this. I mean, are we going to talk about every damn one of them? I mean...
No, but I'm just saying a bullet wound to the face does tend to make things
Well,
difficult.
judging by the amount of brain splatter that was on the window behind him, yeah, I think that's probably...
In your clinical professional opinion, Ben.
in my forensics opinion, I'm saying I think we can call that one.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're clear. You're signing that certificate, not me.
And I will. That's fine.
Well, there goes half of my notes on injuries.
Yeah.
9mm bullet wounds to the face.
I'm thinking he at least has to have a concussion, though. I mean, coming down
For
the stairs,
sure.
getting slammed to the sheetrock.
Abrasion.
Well, okay, so this is the precursor to the scene we talked about before we started recording. This is for anybody out there hiding and they think the bad guy's chasing you. If the bad guy says, "Don't worry, I won't hurt you," in a very poor East German accent, and then cocks the weapon, he is definitely going to hurt you. Like, that is an important, don't trust him.
Yeah.
He's going to do bad things.
It's a pro tip from Tom right there. That's,
Just so you know, if you are ever hiding in a Japanese corporation's headquarters building in Los Angeles with a German terrorist chasing you around and he loads his weapon,
This could happen.
yeah,
It's a legit
it's
scenario.
remote, but yes, it's a low probability but high risk, Sam, and we're trying to keep that safe.
Is there a medical disorder for 6'2" German men to have feet smaller than Bruce Willis's sister? Is that a thing? Because I find it hard
They
to
have
believe
very
his
poor
shoes were
balance.
too small. Yeah, that's why he fell
just
down the
saying-
stairs.
Yeah,
He was
they're
wearing
close to
size
Holland
4.
and they wear wooden shoes there. So, I mean,
Makes sense. He was sabotaged.
you ever seen a German men's team win something in gymnastics? No, sir. They have poor balance because of their small feet. It's a widely known fact, Sam.
I'd like to apologize to the German listeners that
I
are
feel
maybe
embarrassed
downloading
now.
the podcast now.
I'm truly embarrassed. I didn't know that.
2 grown men falling down concrete stairs with steel railings. Yeah, so not only would I say a minimum of concussion to whoever was involved in that fall, but who I want to say Bruce Willis was actually on the bottom of that. So the impact alone, so now we're talking possible fractured ribs. Is he going to get a pneumo out of this? Is he having shortness of breath? Like, those are things like he probably didn't think about, because he was being hunted by terrorists. But if he were to come into an ER at that point in time, like, those are some of the assessment things I'd be looking for on somebody that fell down a flight of stairs with a terrorist on them.
Not only that, but if you look at the trauma criteria, I mean, someone else died in that accident. So, I mean, that automatically elevates the level of trauma.
Yeah, that's an automatic priority too, right there.
Yeah.
Is now Sam, I need a ruling on this. He killed the other guy though, so that's why there was a death involved in the accident. So still a 2.
It seemed almost involuntary. He was in a struggle. And I think the fall killed the guy. I don't think Bruce Willis was rolling down and like snapped his neck with his hands as he was rolling. I feel like it was the fall. That's at least a level 2.
All right, well then
And it depends on the height of the stairs as well.
I'm going to go with they're probably standard. I don't think they made, are you talking about the amount of stairs?
Or just the height that they fell. How many stairs, the distance fallen,
How many flights of stairs?
Yeah, so I mean,
how fast they were
I mean, they
moving
could have
when
made it
hit the
comical
stairs.
and he fell down like 30 flights. I mean, that would have,
So-
just kept rolling.
so I think we need to be clear. So he fell down 1 flight of stairs. So we'll say a minimum 10 feet. So that's 10 feet fall, hard impact, possible broken ribs, 1 death
Yeah.
involved. Bruce Willis, you're a priority 2 trauma patient
already. That's not anything else that's happened. That's like, yeah. First 10 minutes into the movie.
It's a violent movie, people. That's what Christmas movies are known for.
What somebody else got next?
Well, it's all gunshot wounds.
Yeah.
All these people got shot. I don't know. It's crazy.
Here's a fun. When SWAT was running up to the building before they tried to make entry, one of the members of the SWAT team caught his hand on a rose bush.
On the thorn of a rose bush.
He got
and he
thorn in the hand.
Visually goes, ow.
Yeah, he stops and points it out. I wrote it down.
So that's a puncture wound distal to the elbow.
Yep.
I would say, though, based on mechanism of action, that we can waive trauma.
That's a trauma. That's a level 12.
So that's a trauma 12 right there, people.
The walking wounded.
And for people who don't know, the lower the number, the more severe it is. So level 12 is. Yes, so let's clarify that. People are like, oh my gosh.
So only thing after level 12 are colors, which means you're not a trauma, is what that means. So he's a trauma red. That means nothing. Yeah. So there you go.
So there was one injury before that, too, that I noticed.
Besides gunshots.
Powell.
Oh, we forgot about Sergeant Al Powell.
He's driving the car and he's screaming for backup, drives that car off. I mean, it was the full length of the car.
He was bleeding from his head and his lip, so he probably bounced around and smacked his face on at least the steering wheel.
Actually, so we're all out of whack, because honestly, what we should address before any of this,
the gunshots.
No, the appropriate use of 911 and communications equipment when calling this in. Okay, because I would like to point out to anyone watching this that if you get on, first of all, there may have been in the 80s like a special channel for police work on CB radios or something. I don't know. I don't find it very plausible, because like they can't secure it. It makes it unusable if anybody could just use your channel. So I don't think secure communications were that lax for LAPD even in 1988. I'm fairly certain that they would have not used communications like that. However, I find it hard to believe that if a guy is desperately yelling into a microphone, help, I'm being shot at, there are terrorists, they've killed people in this building, and he is giving real-time facts. He's not saying stuff like the moon told me to say this. This guy is giving specifics. I saw 13 people. One of them were killed.
They literally hear gunshots and have to remove their headsets because it's so loud. And they're like, it's probably a crank call. We'll send this death jockey.
Yes. So I want to just say, if you are ever concerned that the police are not going to take you serious, and have there been cases in history? Yes. But for the most part, if you start screaming a specific location, time, and threat, they're going to come check that out. They're not going to just tell you, screw off, call 911. They're going to actually make some motion. So I just want to tell people, like, for real, if you are ever in an emergency situation, however you can get attention to get help, do it. So he starts there, and then the police show up. Well, Sergeant Al Powell shows up. He's just minding his own damn business. I think he just bought some ring dings, at the convenience store. Twinkies
for his pregnant wife. Yep.
That's right. For some reason, I thought it was ring dings because they make fun of Twinkies later in the show. That's why. Okay. So anyways, he's driving fully restrained with his 3-point seatbelt. So kudos to you, Sergeant Al Powell. But after a full-grown male body hits him at terminal velocity, because that was well over 132 feet, it lands on his poor Crown Vic. Yeah, that Ford Classic LTD that they used back in the day. He has to back up at a high rate of speed. So we're talking he's probably going 40 miles an hour. And then he goes off what? A 10-foot drop off?
At least. The car was standing up. I'd say it was more like 15. And he was getting shot at the whole time. So yeah, I'm sure he got some fragmentation.
Yeah, but John McClane was firing just to show him, get his attention. He wasn't giving
no
accurate suppressed fire.
They had an M60 out the window.
That was McClane.
The terrorists.
No, that was John McClane shooting out the window. Yeah. I just watched it,
I think it was
30 minutes ago.
I think he was trying to get the guy's attention because he was going to drive off.
Yeah. He pushes the thing out and then he fires some rounds out the window. Yeah, it was John McClane. I'll have to
bring it back up because I'm pretty sure they start shooting at him too, because they shoot him, his car all the way over.
No, the first time the terrorists shoot. Yeah, because it's John McClane.
He says, I'm getting shot up like Swiss cheese.
Yes.
which indicates he has holes in his car. He was getting shot at.
Correct. John McClane got a little too, but you're John McClane. You know your way around an M60. That's first day business at NYPD Academy. Okay. Is belt-fed ammunition machine guns. So everybody knows that. So
It's a pro tip from Tom right there.
the first time the terrorists shoot are when they're knocking out the lights by LAPD SWAT.
I'm reading on the Die Hard wiki currently. In a desperate bid to attract Powell's attention and get help, McClane throws Marco's corpse from the 34th floor onto the hood of his police car. Realizing that their cover had been blown, Hans Gruber's terrorists opened fire on Powell's desperately fleeing car in an attempt to kill him.
I don't know. I just watched it, and John McClane was holding that M60. But
regardless, someone was shooting at it.
A machine gun with 7.62 ammunition is raining steel down on poor Sergeant Al Powell. He has to back up. So this is pre-airbag. So he's a little jarred up. He fell 15 feet going 40 miles an hour in easily an 8,000-pound all-steel Ford Detroit-made vehicle. You're going to need a back adjustment. Like that's going to hurt. So, all right, Sam, what are we talking? Give me a rundown. What are we looking at? Injuries? You're an ER nurse. They say, hey, we got a police officer coming in. This is what just happened. He was at Nakatomi Plaza. He got shot up in his car. He fell off. What are you assessing?
I mean, the speed the vehicle's going, direction of impact. It was a rearward impact. He was fully restrained. He was going backwards. Went down off the cliff at we're guessing 40 miles an hour ish.
That's a good accurate. Yeah.
But after he went off, there was some deceleration there, and then he hits. No airbag deployment, like you said. There's no airbags. You don't have to worry about that. Didn't go through the windshield. Didn't even really go forward, I would imagine, since it was all backwards, unless it was like a bounce back forward thing. So it's a relatively low mechanism. The worst thing, I guess, he could have a concussion from the bouncing back and forth if his head hit anything. And then, he's gotten some abrasions and some cuts on his head. I'm probably going to do like a level 3.
All right. I will say I'd put it as a minor car accident. Yeah. Fender bender.
Yeah.
That's one of those things when people talk about stuff, they can get it all wrapped up in their head. So that's the difference between a real assessment and a movie assessment. Like, oh, well, car wrecks happen all the time. Though I will say, if you think about all the safety equipment we have now, and basically that guy could have got burnt if he had just pushed in that cigarette lighter, which was readily available in every car at that point in time. Like that thing could have popped out and landed on him. Then he would have had to burn. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah, that's all I think about. It haunts my dreams.
It haunts my
Poor
memories.
Reginald Bell Johnson.
So now we have Al Powell. He's been shot up. What's the next injury after that?
I have where the SWAT team goes.
Gotcha.
Tries to come to the door, and
the wounded
and Hans tells them to wound them, not to kill them.
Which, again, SWAT tactics have obviously evolved quite a bit since 1988, but
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, I would hope so too. Especially no helmets, no face gear,
just
no
watch
real
caps, cloth vest, and a Remington 870 running in wide open parking lot towards the building that is occupied by terrorists.
Yes, with a elevated and fortified position.
Correct.
You are not wanting to be LAPD SWAT that day.
They also stop at a glass door and try to pick a lock. And when that doesn't work, he says, torch it. So they're going to do property damage. If they were just trying to pick the lock to avoid property damage, it's out the door when they get an oxyacetylene torch to cut it. Just break the fucking window.
Yeah. So
valid point. Did not think about that. You said that, but now I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Why didn't
they got themselves shot because they bottlenecked at the glass doors. They could have broke with a I don't know what they had on them. I guess they're weapons. They could have shot through it, I guess.
Well, yeah, at any point they could have easily, I'm pretty sure Nakatomi would have paid for the new glass windows if you had stormed the building and saved all the hostages.
Well, he probably wouldn't have, because we talked about his brain was
besides Mr. Akagi, but everybody else would have been more than happy to chip in for a new glass door for LAPD at that point in time, which is a excellent fact. Is it didn't make a lot of sense. Of course, it doesn't also make sense that they somehow get a recoilless rifle and start raining down missiles upon the armored vehicle the LAPD is driving up to the door, which also led to one of the most iconic classic movie quotes. As the shot comes in, The
quarterback
quarterback is toast, which there's a lot of injuries. There's at least 4 right there. So
Yeah, I actually had that down.
I have the rocket strike ×2 on the car, they call it. That's my next injury.
yeah, the car.
I had a minor one before that back on John McClane when he uses his elbow to bust the glass to get the axe.
Oh, on the door he could have just pulled open.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
It's like, so I mean, you're going to lacerate the shit out of your arm to get to the axe when you could have just
pulled the silver handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, have you ever come in contact with an axe just randomly sitting in a stairwell ever in your whole life? Just some big red fire axe. Have you ever seen one?
After 1988, they realized people would probably go around hitting them with their elbows if a case of terrorists came in the building. So no, they removed all of them. It's fire code.
OSHA implemented the Nakatomi clause to their axe.
I like it.
There's a lot of Nakatomi clauses after.
Yeah.
Yes.
It really reworked the whole thing. OSHA did.
That was clearly the problem.
Well, I mean, it led to him dropping C4 down an elevator shaft.
Okay.
Because he had access to that axe.
Well, yeah, just like, nurses have drinks at their station.
Also could cause C4 to detonate. Yep.
So Jayco decided, hey, before one of them gets an idea and it makes the building collapse, we should stop. Same thing. So no axes in the stairwells.
You know who else was drinking at their workplace? Takagi. And look what happened to him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They were all
safety
drinking.
First, people.
Terrorist attack. We're just trying to prevent terrorism.
Yeah. Hell, the salesman was doing coke. Like, look what happened to him.
He had to make a phone call, and that was the closest phone.
Yeah. Oh, that was confectioner sugar off the party treats. That was all in his mustache. That wasn't cocaine. Nobody did cocaine in LA in the 80s. So
never.
I did make notation of the C4 detonation down.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Please.
The elevator shaft, is that what it was?
Yes.
Yeah,
let's break down
because the elevator's on the floor of the rocket because he saw it pass on its way down. So he knows they were going down just before they shot the rockets. So he thinks, if I drop this C4, which he just randomly shoves detonators into, here's 5, that ought to do it, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, just put more blasting caps in it.
And here's this computer monitor, that'll do it. And I'll just push it off this thing and hope it doesn't hit the side immediately and explode if that's the science behind it.
Yeah. So let's talk about this for a minute. So first of all, C4 is a plastic explosive. Use it for lots of different things, and it makes a very large kaboom when it goes off normally. He didn't just have 1 bar of C4, or what is it, one charge. Okay. How many bars did he have in that bag?
I feel like in the bag he had several, but I think he only put 1 on that chair, if I'm remembering correctly.
Well, and so I think you're correct. So that is important for people to know that. Yes, I would say I thought it was a kilo. Is it a pound?
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't matter. We're not EOD, so it doesn't matter. But the point is, so just for movie accuracy's sake, him exploding the 1 block of C4 will not necessarily detonate the other blocks. So realistically, he put 5 blasting caps into 1 block of C4 to blow up 1 block of C4.
He just wanted to make sure it was going to pop, I guess.
Yeah, he really wanted to make sure that thing was going to go off. Second of all, he puts all the blasting caps in there, and there's no initiator. So you don't just put a blasting cap into a plastic
That's what
explosive.
The computer monitor did. That was what the computer
so
monitor.
That's what I was going to say is
with no electricity to it.
Yeah, well, the electricity would have been the part that would have been important because that's what would have set off the C4. So if you are trapped in a building, people, with a satchel full of plastic explosives, don't put 5 detonators or blasting caps into 1 block and then shove it on a chair down, because you know what's going to happen? Hans Gruber is going to end up with all his explosives and ask, why are there 5 blasting caps at one of his blocks of C4 when it hits the bottom floor? Like, that's all that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So unrealistic on the explosion, but let's talk about the explosion. So a large kaboom goes off, large enough to demolish. I think the LAPD guy says like 13 floors. Oh, I thought he said it was like 13 floors or something. But I don't remember specifics. But the point is an entire lower portion of Nakatomi Plaza building is now gone.
Toast.
So
Yeah.
Correct.
there's two things that I want to discuss that, like, let's say this is real though. All right. So we're breaking away. We're bringing us back full circle back to being medical for a second here. Is two things. Those types of injuries, what are you looking for? Second of all, triage. Like, this is a perfect example of you're probably going to have multiple casualties. So
Right.
you're in that position. You're the ER nurse. You hear these reports. What do you start thinking about? I say, Ben, I know you did emergency preparedness. So what are you thinking?
I want them to go to another ER. Whatever they call it. We're like, we got 175 victims. It's like, whoa.
Oh, look at that.
We're on diversion.
Yep.
Yeah, our CT scanner just went down. We can't possibly get anybody in here right now.
The vast majority are probably going to be minor injuries with
If
the
they
glass
survive.
and the explosion from that. If they survive. The biggest thing, I mean, even for John McClane at this point, because that explosion came up, because that was when he was like, oh shit. And he jumped and it exploded out exactly where he was at, which,
Of course.
movies, that's why it does that. I mean, my biggest concern would be also smoke inhalation. Like,
honestly, the first thing, and I know we got a lot better at diagnosis of this if you look at some of the medical journals because of all our time in Iraq and Afghanistan, is barotrauma. So an explosion that forceful goes off, you're going to start losing organs. Bad things happen to human bodies when they are impacted by pressures that great from that explosion.
Right. And the detonation proceeds at an explosive velocity of 8,000 meters per second. So staring down an
That's
elevator
fast.
shaft and going, oh shit, and then backing away, not plausible. He was instantly hit with that shockwave.
Yeah, 8,000 meters per second. Maybe that's why he was saying, oh shit, is he knew he was.
My liver just turned to liquid. Oh no.
yes. Your spleen is
gone.
going to have a bad day. Yeah.
Lungs are blown out like brown paper bags. It's all
yes.
over.
Yeah.
maybe it was oh shit because all of his bowels just spontaneously combusted.
Well, since his colon
emptied.
exploded, yeah, I mean that's perfectly possible. But and as funny as it is, though, I mean that is one of those realistic. Like, could someone even survive that? Plausibly, no. Like if you're in the direct path or within so many meters of that explosion, it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're up on the 43rd floor, like where this all started, sure. But if you're down around 15 or below, I don't know that survivability is going to be high on the priority list. And that's where the mass, casualty. So like, let's say all the terrorists are dead and you're watching somebody, those people are being triaged black. There's not a lot you can do for them at that point.
Yeah, that floor that is somehow incendiary. Everyone on that floor is dead. And it was just those two guys, I think, with the missile thing, but they're gone. There's no chance.
Well, I'm glad they were gone because they were shooting cops with missiles. So yeah, fuck those guys. But the point is everybody else now, though, John McClane kind of overshot.
The SWAT guys are still laying on their back. They're dead. They were down there and they never left. Yeah. They got shot in the arm and they just decided to lay there where they were getting shot at and writhe in pain because that's what their SWAT training told them to do.
And that is a valid point also, Sam, is if you get shot in the arm, you are likely not to die. But staying in the path of where bullets are traveling is what will kill you. So if you are able to move after a stab, a penetrating wound, a gunshot, something like that, distance is your friend. And you need to get away from the threat as soon as possible. So, yeah, you're right. SWAT 101, they clearly didn't listen.
Just lay there.
I think they confused the terrorist attack with a bear attack. And so they were like,
play dead?
Play there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that this animal that's known for eating dead bodies will leave me alone because that'll work. Yeah. But no, I think Ben was right. I think, smoke inhalation for the survivors. I mean, we're looking at, smoke inhalation, minor burns. I also think glass, minor lacerations, cuts, debris, injuries to your eyes. I think those are the major things that your
glass moving at 8,000 meters per second.
Oh, okay. That's initial blast radius. What I'm saying are the people that were up on the 29th floor, 20 floors away, they're probably going to get some. Yeah. Well, they're probably going to get something.
There's a lot of steel and concrete between there.
Sam, so this is a whole show predicated on making things work. Work with me.
Oh,
work with me here. There you go. Sam's like, no, Tom, we did it. The hypotenuse squared at 8,000 meters, 20 floors up is good.
Actually.
Yep. Oh, yep. Oh my God. I love this so much. Okay. So explosions.
More gunshots. After the C4,
More gunshots.
And then I have glass in the feet.
So,
which
that's the worst one.
Yeah. So let's talk about the glass in the feet, because the bullet wounds.
Well, before we talk about the glass in the feet, can we talk about one other thing real quick?
Yeah.
And then we can get to that. Because it was one of the more graphic scenes that I thought in this movie. Obviously, the glass was, but when he's under the table and he shoots the guys in the knees.
Yeah.
And you can see the knees just like blowing apart. And it's like for a movie in 88, that was pretty damn graphic looking.
And it looked painful.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to stop you from moving forward. Yeah. I just kind of wanted to mention that. I mean, because that to me, that and the glass in the feet were two kind of the more graphic scenes.
So, and I'm glad you brought it up. I wanted to talk to glass in the feet because, I mean, well, that's something that affects most people every day. That's an everyday thing. So we can talk about that. I want to dive into the bullet wounds, though, that you two were just addressing, because there's multiple types. And so that's why I wanted to talk about the glass and then talk about the bullet wounds.
Okay, go ahead.
So basically, glass in the feet. Here's a problem, though, is most people are going to get a minor shard, like splinter. Okay, so poor John McClane, who, was trying to make fists with his feet in this hotel room or the
office.
Hold on. Yeah, so let's back that up. The hotel room inside the office building that's there inexplicably, like, okay, so they just have random hotel rooms apparently in her office building. Nothing bad could happen from that situation.
Ellis likes to party. What can we say?
Ellis likes to party. So he's barefoot, and we talked about that earlier, and now everywhere he goes, the terrorists know he's got limited mobility, so a smart move. Hans Gruber,
very smart,
like him or not, is a wily, worthwhile villain and says, shoot out the glass. Because even if it doesn't stop John McClane, it makes him trackable and it slows him down. So even if you don't catch him now, you've now made your prey easier to catch. I'm like, way to go, Hans Gruber. Bravo, sir. That was a smart move that you don't normally see in movies. Usually they're like, go for the head, or something like that. And he's like, no. Let's play the long game here. Like, time is on our side. There's 20 of us. He's by himself with a pistol. Shoot the glass. And so I thought that was a brilliant move, to be honest.
That's not the only time. He just he didn't want to have to deal with McClane at all. And it's easier just to, he said, neutralize him, which he wanted to have Carl lock him in some elevator shaft and leave him because he just didn't have the time. He had something else to do.
Also, that was a brilliant move. Strategically, that's the correct answer. If you're the terrorist leader, so he's one dude who can't do anything to us. Yeah. Lock him in a room and leave him alone. But that first guy that John McClane killed happened to be, Carl's brother. So, that's not going to go away anytime soon.
It became personal.
Yeah. And a guy that's holding an Og Steyr rifle, he's got a bargaining chip because you can't stop him. So he decides he's going to kill old John McClane.
Hey, fun side note. We have a drug rep that comes in. I think it's Eliquis or Xarelto, one of those thinners. It looks just like Carl from Die Hard. So when he shows up, we go in and we tell the docs, we're like, hey, Die Hard's here. And then we bring him in. I guess he's like he's a Canadian guy. I hope he's not listening. It's embarrassing if he knows. He's Canadian. He played hockey for a long time, and now he's in drug sales. But he looks like
he's leading a rough life.
This is probably what happened to Carl. He probably lived, and now he's doing drug sales.
Well, he had to go on the lam. There's not a lot to do when your terrorist leader's killed. You got to make up somehow.
Probably witness protection. I probably just blew it for him.
But I did think that Bruce Willis pulling those glass shards out of his feet.
Oh, yeah.
Oof.
Like, you could just feel it. I mean, like, it made my feet hurt.
Classically, it's one of...
I would have let Hans Gruber win after that. Game over. You win, Hans. I'm done. I quit.
The only other, like, injuries that I seen, because, I mean, kind of getting near the end of the movie as far as that part goes, they had to fight on the roof. There's multiple, like, he punches, Carl, like, 15 times or
a lot. There's a lot of punching.
Strings him up by his neck.
Yeah, it probably doesn't help to say this is how I killed your brother. Ooh, that's a little insensitive there, Mr. McClane.
Should have heard your brother's squeal when I broke his neck, I think is what he said.
That's not really what we call sensitive to his needs anymore, Mr. McClane. But he's definitely looking at some fractures to his hand after that fight. Like, I'm not even talking about the hanging injury. Like, that very cinematic, all stuff. But I'm talking like seriously, you get to a fist fight, the human head weighs a lot, right? It's not like in the movies where the guy just punches them and they walk off. You hit someone in the head, even if you kick the crap out of someone, your hands hurt. Like if you punch another human being, that's like punching a tree bark. Like it's not, human bone doesn't really forgive that well. So when you actually punch somebody, it hurts. Yeah. And he punches him repeatedly. I guarantee you his index and middle finger and those MIP joints, they're all toast. He crushed those bones.
But he still has trigger finger.
It's hard to shoot with no trigger finger. I'm just saying.
I'm getting confused on my timeline, but at some point, the agents Johnson do die in a helicopter when he blows.
And Johnson, not related.
Squared.
I said agents plural. Johnson,
no. We haven't got there yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
we haven't got there yet. They're not related. Okay.
No relation. He was in junior high, dickhead.
Yes. I love the combat helicopters. I'm like, so
the Hueys.
FBI agents in the field, just can't requisition air gunships on domestic, land.
Not just one, but two, and short notice.
Not one, but two loaded with miniguns and 2.75 inch rockets. And then he goes up with a bolt action deer rifle.
With it looked like some kind of
a scope that was like 15 feet long. I was like, what is this shit?
He's like, I'll take him out. And they're like, no, you're not.
Like, was he aiming for Burbank? Like, what the hell?
Well, why even bring the gun? You are in a gunship. It's got plenty of guns. Like, you don't need to bring a deer rifle at this point.
Because you're Johnson, and that's what you do.
Like, you could hit anything out of a helicopter with a scope on, and it's probably some horrible first-generation night vision thing that's just blurry green blobs.
And to be fair, there are people in the world that are actually trained to shoot out of helicopters, but that is a high-level skill that I guarantee you neither Agent Johnson or Agent Johnson were currently up to speed on. So we're going to call bullshit on the attack helicopter. Never mind. They are flying 100 feet off the roadway in between buildings in downtown LA. I'm like, nothing wrong could go wrong with this scenario. Helicopter rotors and steel buildings don't really tend to like each other very much. So let's just, so there's a bunch wrong leading up to what we're going to talk about next, which is the vast variety of gunshot wounds we see throughout this movie. So we see point blank pistol, we see submachine gun. I don't think we actually saw any high powered rifle shots. I know they were shot. I don't know that anybody was actually hit.
I don't think he ever landed a shot with that dog.
Yeah, so there's that, but I do want to point out, so most of the bullet wounds, and this is important, there is a difference in bullet wounds from handgun ammunition to high-powered rifle ammunition. Like, they do make vastly different wounds, entry and exit, and the type of ammunition can determine some of the things that you're going to do to treat it, because, let's be fair, you get hit with a 300 blackout or a 5.56, that's going to make big holes through you. All right. Or I shouldn't say big necessarily, but you're going to get poked. Like that bullet's coming in one side, it's going out the other. It's traveling really fast. Okay. However,
with some tumbling.
Yes, with some tumbling, creating that chasm. So yeah. But on the other hand, the vast majority of the handgun ammunition, both by the 92F that John McClane was carrying and all the MP5s that the German terrorists are carrying, are all shooting 9mm ammunition. So again, extremely deadly. You will get killed if you get shot with a 9mm, but vastly different wounds. So I do know, like I remember specifically, John has survived all this crap. He's got the bloody feet with the duct tape. He's done all this stuff, and he gets shot in the shoulder, and you see, boom, the spray of blood, and everything goes over. But realistically, in the movie, he keeps going because you could. A 9mm bullet to your shoulder is actually an extremely survivable wound as long as it didn't hit any major arteries, vessels, or break your humerus.
A couple things. Hollywood loves that left shoulder and also the lower left quadrant for gunshot wounds that are survivable. They always love to get
I've
shot.
never noticed that.
They do it quite a bit. But later at the end of the movie, when he's hugging Holly, at the end, he's all gross and bloody. It's a graze. It's just a straight line across his deltoid where that bullet apparently just missed him. But it looks, when he gets shot, there is, like you said, there's blood spray. Like he's been hit for real. and then they just show the graze
Yeah, that
afterwards.
looks,
I don't know if that's a continuity error.
or maybe they're just trying to say it was just a graze in the first spot. But I would say with the amount of blood and the fact that it actually turns him, like, first of all, that's another fallacy of Hollywood versus realistic. So the kinetic energy of a 9mm round will almost never move you. Like, you can watch videos and police training videos and all sorts of stuff. People are getting shot with 9mm and they don't move. It's not like Indiana Jones where they go flying off a building, or in this movie where he goes tumbling down stairways. And there are people that have been shot with 9mm and 380 and 38 revolvers that honestly did not realize at that time that they had even been shot. They said it felt like they got punched in their arm and then, oh, by the way, I got shot. For people to act like, oh my God, if you just get a gunshot, you're going to die. No. And we've learned a lot through 20 years of war is if you stop the bleeding and you make sure there's not an internal injury, those are extremely survivable wounds. And the only reason I bring this up is I don't want anybody to ever do what the SWAT cops did. Like, if you're the victim, like, let's say you're getting mugged, someone's trying to rape you, whatever, and they're trying to hurt you, you don't have to lay there. Like, if the guy says, I'm going to stab you, and then he stabs you, that doesn't mean you have to give up and grab your leg and then fall on the ground. Like, run, get away from the threat. These are all survivable wounds. I just think that's one of those important things, because I feel too often in movies, as soon as they get shot, stabbed, whatever, they just fall on the ground. Like Sam was saying, like, those cops got shot. They just laid there. I'm like, bullshit. You shoot me in the shin bone, bro. I'm moving. I'm not sticking around for round 2. We're going.
I was just impressed that the majority of the terrorists and John McClane kind of just randomly shoot like I do when I'm playing PUBG. Like, I may not see my target. Like, you guys call out like, hey, it's at 235.
We call that suppressive fire.
Yeah. I'm just going to,
spray and pray.
Shoot over in that general area, and I mean, it's like it works.
Yeah. So you hear something in a direction and you just depress the trigger and point the gun that way. And that's not a bad battle tactic if you are clearing immediate contact with an ambush. But considering they were in downtown Los Angeles in a well-lit building, I don't think that was the most appropriate method of shooting. I have seen movies though where they train people and they don't shoot like that. Like, if you've ever seen the movie Collateral with Tom Cruise, that is short, concise shooting like that. You could tell he spent a lot of time with actual people learning to actually use a weapon. Of course he did. That's not movie.
It's Tom Cruise.
Him and Keanu Reeves for the John Wick series. Legitimately, you watch those 2 series. Those guys spent a year of their life learning how to shoot, and you can tell when they move and they shoot. That's not, or the movie Heat. That's another good movie where they actually trained. They actually did stuff. They actually used the movie Heat to help train Marines in urban combat now.
How to assault while retreating, I think it was.
Do what?
And then they were retreating in that scene that they used for the Marines. They were falling back while under attack. Yeah. And that's what they used it. I don't know how to
how to fire,
how to assault but while in retreat.
Yeah. How to break contact, how to communicate, how to actually even reload. He's like, watch, as he's shooting, he never takes his knife off the target. He reloads his gun. Like, I've watched one of the things where they show them teaching other people. So as much as we like to make fun of movies, there are times where the movies can actually be useful. And this is just not one of those cases. Like Ben said, these guys must have came, like half that semi truck must have been 9mm bullets, because these dudes are shooting at everything and not hitting anything. Like the rate of return on bullets is like every 10,000 bullets, they get 1 hit on John McClane. So that is highly unrealistic, because unlike the movies, bullets are finite. You can only carry so many with you.
Any other major injuries that you guys had? There's one other aspect of the movie I wanted to talk about.
I mean, obviously,
injuries and stuff.
Hans falling off of the building is a major injury and plot point.
That is, and spawned 4 other movies. So
correct.
So Hans Gruber falling off the building is I'd say an important part, Ben.
No, I would agree with you. And actually, you had suggested watching the Netflix, The Movies That Made Us.
Yeah.
They did an episode on Die Hard, and they talk about that fall with Alan Rickman. And the fear on his face was legitimate, because they said, we're going to let you go on the count of 3. Yeah. They go 1, 2, and drop him.
Drop.
So the look on his face is like, oh God, like I'm really gonna die. Yeah.
Yes. Which it makes such a great, it's like one of the coolest scenes. Again, it's iconic.
Yeah.
Him, that slow motion. Yeah, it's everything you want to see.
It may have been the only green screen in the movie. I think everything else was practical effects, which is something they just don't do anymore.
Yeah. Well, why? When you don't have to, but
Well, it's cooler. That's why.
it's just cooler. Like that. Could you imagine being that cameraman on that up angle and they're like, hey, so we're going to have a guy run. He's going to have a fire hose tied around his waist and that's going to support him falling off the side of this building when it explodes.
By the way, I tried to count the C4 when he sees it, and I got at least 15 of those bricks of C4 that the roof was wired with. I really don't think the fire hose is going to save him, even if he gets out. Like he's done.
Well, considering
the whole roof is gone.
Yeah, not only will Nakatomi Plaza no longer exist, neither will any building around it. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's
was a lot.
realistic. Yeah, thank God that C4 doesn't explode like that. So
Correct. And then I also have Theo when he's pulling out in the ambulance, and then Argyle hits him with the limo, T-bone, and then gets out and punches him in the head.
I forgot about
immediately
that.
after.
Argyle.
Yeah. Underrated.
Yeah, Argyle is the unsung hero. Yes,
He is.
Completely overlooked. Solid character. He's just a hard worker.
He delivers Bruce Willis to Nakatomi, which is the only reason those people survived. They were going to get blown up on the roof. That was the plan.
And then he stayed. He could have left. He stayed.
Yep. Lied to his boss, told him he was going to Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, really, Argyle is the unsung hero of this entire series, if you think about it. Like, nothing else matters for the next 5 movies if Argyle isn't there.
That's deep.
Theo can't drive the ambulance off full of bearer bonds.
$640 million worth. So
he gets hit at a pretty high rate of speed and then immediately punched in the head, which we all know after getting a concussion from a 12,000-pound vehicle ramming you in the door, getting punched in the head is not ideal. It's suboptimal.
Secondary impact syndrome. Yes.
Yeah.
Coup is what?
Probably subdural at that. Or subarachnoid.
Yeah,
He's bleeding in his brain.
Level 2.
Yeah, something that should not have been there is now there, and that's blood. So yeah, I'm with you.
And then the pinnacle of the movie, Sergeant Al Powell pulls his gun out of retirement and drops Carl in front of everybody, redeeming himself in the eyes of the LAPD.
Yeah, he's got that 38 plus P ammunition in there, the hot round.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, he lays old Carl out. So
in a crowd
Sergeant
of people.
Al Powell.
In a panicked crowd of people.
I mean, that right there is Delta Force level pinpoint accuracy using a Smith & Wesson 38 revolver in between a crowd of people.
That's what I expect from LAPD.
That's my sir. I don't know how he sits down with balls that big. That's what I'd say to him. Like, how do you even walk? They named him Clank from his big steel balls just clanking while he's walking.
The SWAT team's performance, and it's lackluster. It leaves a lot to be desired. But then you got Sergeant Al Powell just out there showing it for the whole world to see for LA's finest.
Desk jockey was just in a car accident. No, sir, you couldn't pull me away or haul me off. And then he does the Jerry Michalak, just pulls that Smith & Wesson out, lights the dude up. Boom. Like, I'm like, good Lord. How could you not watch this movie and not want to instantly watch it again?
You can see it in his face, Reginald Val Johnson's face, after he shoots him. He's reliving that whole incident when he accidentally shot that kid with a ray gun. It's all there. It's Oscar worthy. I guess he got snubbed. I don't even think he was nominated that year. I'd have to go look.
Yeah. I mean, that's talking, that's right up there with Denzel, the one tier in glory.
Yeah.
Bam. I think of Sergeant Al Powell right after that shooting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he became Carl Winslow. So, I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah.
That's a thinker. Because what was he?
Witness protection.
They figured he's already a great cop. City of Chicago needs one.
Yeah.
Need him. Make him Carl Winslow. Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up, though, because the part that I wanted to talk about is the mental health aspect.
Okay.
And the 2 pieces that I wrote down, Al Powell shooting that child, because he tells a story in the movie.
Yeah.
And then like Sam said, you can see him reliving that on his face. So, I mean, for me, having family in law enforcement, being prior law enforcement, friends in law enforcement, people who have been there, and it really kind of just struck a chord with me.
Well, having never shot anybody in the line of duty, however, multiple times, service arm did clear leather. Like I pointed my weapon at another human being with every full intention of ending their life if they continue to present themselves as a threat. I can tell you right now, just doing that leaves a mark. Looking down the front sight of your weapon, knowing that the next step is your finger starts to go into the trigger, which ends with you pulling and, a bullet exiting. Like, at least for me, in my experience, I don't remember thinking about every step, but it wasn't chaotic. It wasn't this, whole mash of emotions. It became very clinical. Like, this person's a threat, my firearm is now out. I'm giving very clear commands. Again, all these were on body cam, so there's no problems with it. Like, nobody's ever said this wasn't necessary. It's already been reviewed. It's always been looked at, and that's good. It should be. But I guess what I'm getting at is just the mere act of having to threaten another human being with that, and knowing that it was about to happen. There was times like on felony stops, you have your gun out and you're ready, but then there are times where it's just you and the other guy, and you pull your weapon out. You're like, this may happen. Like, your brain starts going, bro, this isn't a drill. This is going to go down. And that, like I said, left in marks on my soul that will never go away. And that's okay. Like, that's part of what you think about, I guess, when you do the job. But first of all, to actually have killed another human being, bad guy or not, that also is going to mess with your head. But to shoot, in this case, as the movie says, a kid.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't know what level of counseling you would have to go through to be okay with that. That's not saying that it's never happened and that every cop in the world that has been in that situation should be condemned, because I don't know. You have to deal with that situation as it comes up. And I know that's not a popular opinion, but it's true. There are situations where I think the officers in real life could make better decisions. And there's times where that's the decision that they had. And for someone like Al Powell, the movie character in this case, I do think about that sometimes. And it's just like, I don't know how you make that right in your head, because you weren't doing anything malicious. Like, that character never set out to harm a person, and yet he did the most egregious thing that possibly we've ever talked about on the show, which is the murder of a kid. I mean, as far as mental health goes, I don't know. I know you can recover from it. I just don't know how. I don't know what you do next.
And the other aspect of mental health that I considered, the hostages, and I look at it as, that has to be kind of crazy to in your brain. But then they do have that one on the TV show where the guy is talking about
Helsinki syndrome.
Yes, he's like, well, now they're going to start writing their, the terrorist in prison. Okay, like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
And then the idiot anchor is like, Helsinki, Sweden. They're like, Norway.
Yeah. Well, I also like how, everybody knows the clearly named Stockholm Syndrome, but in the movie they had to change it. Like, is there a patent on Stockholm Syndrome? Like, for trademark purposes, they had to call it Helsinki Syndrome. Oh my God. But yeah,
You never know.
I was like, is Norway that upset that they're or Norway and Sweden feuding over the name of the syndrome? Like, what's going on? They had to name it that. But so Stockholm Syndrome is a legitimate thing. I've been through some training classes for crisis management, and they actually talk about that. So Stockholm Syndrome is a legitimate thing. It's actually happened in American bank robberies, where the people inside the bank, after a long enough period of time, actually, when the police would phone in, would actually side with the robbers. it does happen, believe it or not. That is a realistic thing. I think it's based on a human defense mechanism, though. I don't remember all the psychology of it, but it's basically, I want to stay alive. He could kill me, so now I'm his friend, so he don't want to kill me.
So I went to the Die Hard wiki again. It's pretty handy. I should have looked at this before the show. But apparently
Start all over.
Dr. Hasseldorf, when he sells Helsinki Syndrome, they wrote that in as satire about how so-called television experts don't know what they're talking about. So that's why they did it on purpose.
Nice.
To make fun of.
Oh,
I like that.
thank you, Die Hard. Now I'm even happier with this. Like, every time, it's a Christmas miracle, Ben. Every time I think this movie can't get better, I learn some other information, and I'm like, Jesus, 1988, and it's still giving. Ben, this is the true meaning of Christmas. It's the gift that keeps giving.
I mean, speaking of Christmas miracles, Hans does mention that in the movie, like when he's breaking the seventh lock. And he's like,
it is the season of miracles.
A Christmas miracle,
Yes.
That's right.
And speaking of Christmas, I counted, and I could have missed some, I counted at least 18 references to Christmas, and that includes characters singing Christmas songs or humming or whistling Christmas songs. I think I included 2 soundtrack songs. That's the credits and the opening were both Christmas songs, but in the middle, there were a couple of songs like on the radio and stuff. I started to leave that off.
Yep.
18 different Christmas references throughout the movie. Throughout this Christmas movie, I should say.
Yeah, exactly.
Without a doubt.
And that's why he's the best producer in podcasting right there, folks, because
well,
counted the number of Christmas references. How many bullets were fired, though? That's the real question.
All of them.
All of them. That's correct.
All.
Right there. Boom.
So, Ben, I know I can feel it. We've been doing the show long enough. I know when we're coming close to the end. Like, I can feel it in my bones.
Took you long enough.
So, shut up. So, Sam, while he has been a Just Some Podcast family member since the very beginning, this is his first time on the show as a guest. So, I think you know what that means.
I do know what that means. Yes. I wasn't planning that, but I think let's roll with it.
How did I even not think of it? I had all day to...
You followed into our trap, Sam. So
I had all day to plan this.
Well, so Sam, this is 5 questions. Join us on a journey into the inner psyche of our guest as we ask 5 questions. And as the producer of the show, you know how this works. We ask the same 5 questions to all of our guests. I ask the questions. Tom makes fun of your answers.
And I am definitely going to make fun of your answers.
Question 1, Sam. What's your favorite medical word?
Yes.
Is yes a medical word?
No. Sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia.
Terrible answer.
That means brain freeze.
That's what I say. See, this is the problem with medicine nowadays, Ben. We have all these long words when we could just say something simple like brain freeze. So
like brain freeze. Yes.
Terrible word. No, I like the fact that you know that. I did not know that. That's a new one to me. So, Sam, before we move on, you got to tell me briefly though, how did you find that out? Like, what made you go, I got to know the name of this?
You know, I honestly can't remember when I came across it, but I committed it to memory because it's this one. I'd have to sit down and count how many letters it is. It's an insanely long word.
It's a Hans Gruber's bullet worth.
Yes.
So tell us one more time.
Sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia.
There it is, folks.
That may be the longest word we've had on 5 questions.
That's also why it's terrible. We're about brevity here. So
salute to you, sir. Question 2, Sam. If you could do any job in the world other than what you currently do, what would it be?
Fighter pilot.
I was going to say saltwater taffy brewmaster.
No.
So
No.
Fighter pilot. Okay, hold on there,
I
Maverick.
saw Top Gun in like 1987, and that's it. I just happen to be too tall and too stupid to do it. Here I am.
I think the glasses hurt you more than anything else.
You know, I have a slight astigmatism. My vision is still 20/20, according to my optometrist.
I think they're also wrong.
It was 2015 when I joined the military. I just can't do math.
Well, that would be a key component to flying, you know.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
You need to know how much fuel. Fuel is also important. So
fill it up. I mean, that's pretty damn easy.
Well,
so
I mean, more complex methods would be
no,
required to make it through a program.
So no, legit question here, Sam. Air Force or Navy? Well, I mean, Army has pilots too. So which branch would you be a pilot in?
You know, despite Top Gun being the reason, I still think it would be Air Force.
Also wrong. These are all wrong answers.
Because
like he's
because
not
go
giving
Army,
one right
be
answer
Navy
so far. Yes, that's so I pick Air Force. Cryptic. I like it. All right. Okay.
The Army used to include the Air Force until they split off. They're our little brother.
Okay. All right. There you go.
Question 3, Sammy. Think back to your first car. Stylish ride or rolling turd?
You know,
and are you still driving it? That's the
my first new car. I am still driving, actually, but my first car was in between. It was old, even back then. It was a 1966 Buick LeSabre 4-door. It was about 47 feet long and weighed 200 tons.
It's basically a steamroller for the highway department.
We bought it from this brother of the lady who owned it, and she had passed recently, and he was trying to sell stuff. But she got that from her husband, brand new in 1966, as he was dying from cancer, and she had put 60,000 miles on it since then. I bought it in 99, I think. 98 or 99. I think it was 99. And it had 60,000 original miles on it. It still had the plastic from the dealership on the back seat. It still had road flare and a bag of sand if you got stuck, and an advertisement in the trunk that she rarely used. So it was in really great shape.
That's kind of
that's a good
cool.
that, you know what? Even though everything else you said tonight has been bullshit, that's a good one. I like that. I like that car. What was the car's name? Come on, every young guy names his car. What?
We just called it the Buick.
Okay, so it was just a Buick. All right, so you went for the obvious.
Buick.
Gotcha. That's that's a creativity that we really rely on here at Just Some Podcast for our producer.
That's why I came.
He drives a huge Buick, and he called it the Buick. So
the Buick. It's a little on the nose.
That's it. All right.
That's why when he talks to us, he just calls it the podcast. I don't know. It's like
when I talk to Ben, I just say, Ben, wait a minute.
I called it Just Some Buick.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
All right. Question 4, Sam. If your house is on fire, everyone, including your pets, are safe. Other than pictures, what's the one thing you want to get out of your house?
It's a toss up between my phone, because your whole life's on your phone. I won't remember passwords to anything. My banking is completely online with USAA. There's no bank. I mean, there might be one in like San Antonio, but I also have a small safe where I keep important documents like birth certificates, car titles, mortgage paperwork, that kind of stuff.
It's probably fireproof though, right?
You didn't get the fireproof?
It is, they say. But how long was paper gonna? The paper will probably be destroyed, and it's portable, so I can put my phone in the safe.
Yeah,
gotta pick.
You got to get the fireproof and waterproof safe, Sam. Come on.
It is. I'm gonna go phone. Final answer.
All right, pin him down. Yeah. All right. Last question. Question 5. $9.18 in your pocket. You're at the convenience store. What all do you buy?
Ooh, I'm a big Monster drinker. So I would, not big. It's like one every day that I work. So that's not, I wouldn't say, but I would get one of those, like the big one with the screw top. That's like $4.29, I think, at Casey's General Store.
Guys, you got $5 left.
Yeah, so I got $5. I would probably get like a bag of beef jerky. It could last a while.
Where are you finding a bag of beef jerky for $5?
It's gonna be a small bag.
Casey's General Store.
No, because they're the big bags. They're like $16 or something ridiculous. So maybe I'll get some those little strips of jerky. Not like a Slim Jim.
I got you, like the Jack Links. Yeah,
like that. Get a couple of those.
Again, all wrong answers. So I don't know what to do with this guy, Ben. Like all wrong.
It's very creative.
And I would think he would have a more natural and closer to home version of beef jerky. So why would you buy it at a store? Sam, I'm just.
But he's got Jack Links, so maybe he's out looking for Sasquatch. We don't know.
You've been squatching,
I don't know.
Sam.
I have not. I've not been squatching.
He's a mysterious guy.
Yeah.
Sam saltwater taffy squatching.
Oh, I could get saltwater taffy.
Yes, saltwater taffy. What the hell?
They have it. They have it at Casey's.
Yeah, you could have.
Yeah,
now you can.
Yeah.
I wish they had
you can't now. Yeah, no,
You're out squatching with your monster.
Yeah, you big spender. You decided to blow it all on hypertension and
beef jerky.
hyperlipidemia. So there you go.
Was that,
so that's
it
what
was
you
that
got.
or diabetes.
That's what you get. Yeah. Well, you chose incorrectly, sir. So.
Well, that concludes 5 questions. Also, is going to wrap up our episode. You guys did pretty well keeping it on topic, I guess.
I guess.
I was a little concerned before we hit the record button because, it was a little while beforehand.
Well,
but
it's the first time on this side of the mic. Over time we'll tighten it up. It'll get better. But I mean, what do you expect?
Producer Sam. I mean, we're paying him $1 an episode for God's sakes. I mean, it's not like
minus taxes, 66 cents is what I get. That's my take home.
Yeah, we got to take taxes out. I mean, we're a legitimate business. Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, we will be issuing you a W-2. The government will come after you for this now. So.
And I have to pay Ohio state taxes as well.
Yeah, it's a real bitch. Sorry about that.
You're down to about 15 cents an episode. So
perfect.
Don't spend it all in one place.
Now I can't even have the monster.
Make sure you click on our Amazon affiliate link before you start spending all of that. So it helps out the show, Sam.
We're gonna need 42 episodes to pay for a monster. It's all right though. Anyway, we're gonna review another Christmas movie coming up here pretty quick with another guest, and I'm kind of excited to. I'm not gonna tell what the movie is yet, but we're gonna tackle a classic. I think
it's Die Hard 2. Spoiler: Die Hard 2, also a Christmas movie.
Damn it!
Should we have started this off with spoiler alerts, just in case you haven't watched the movie since 1988? Yeah,
that was released in '90.
Sam used to be behind the, he's not used to be in front of the mic. He forgot to do the spoiler alert.
Gotcha. Well,
sorry guys. We're gonna loop it back in. I'm gonna say it now. Spoiler alert, and then you can fix that post production, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he
have
could.
Our producer fix that.
Wait a minute. Yeah,
this is Kyle's fault.
Yeah, definitely Kyle's fault.
And soundboard.
He did this. He did the sound backwards. Not my fault. Did that order.
Yeah, it sounded like AC/DC coming through here all of a sudden. I don't know what happened.
Anyway, on all those notes, wear your mask, wash your hands. Have a great week.
Hey, everybody, stay safe out there.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers.
I have no official sign-off.
Yeah, oh my God.
Practice swearing just to pass the time. Lately I see why I am alone. I caught some road rage and I thought of you. And all the many times you say I should have known. Took a crass